I just want to say good luck today, dude.
Alright folks, well they have got started already, so we're kicking off here the first round of best of 5. We've got Reckful playing his mage deck against Day 9's Shaman deck. You'll be able to see Day 9 on the left there on the screen, and Reckful on the right. And so far not too much in the first couple of turns. The pulse on the cards for both are a little bit limited in what they can play early on, and as we're seeing, a little bit more conservative play there, opening up with a healing total, which is going to do a grand total of absolutely nothing on the first couple of turns here, looking absolutely wonderful. Alright, now that's a nice corner there from Reckful with the Acolyte of Bain. Now, if you don't know what that does, well, that's a nice little card draw. It's top 3, so it's a little bit early on in the game. Every time that thing takes a hit, that thing is going to draw a card. So if you get 2 cards out of that, then you're laughing. If you get a card to trade out of that, then you're also laughing. And unfortunately, you can't hit it with a healing total, so that's going to sit around doing not all that much at all. Out comes the Unbound Elemental for the Shaman deck of Day 9, and we will see what Reckful decides to do from here.
A little bit of interesting tech we already see though. Notice the Cold Art Oracle that's sitting there for Reckful.
That's an interesting choice, that one.
Yes.
A lot of people don't like it, mostly because they absolutely hate giving stuff to their opponent, which is exactly what the Cold Light does. It draws 2 cards for both sides. So it's a little bit more of a gimmicky card. And we're seeing the Arcane Internet going on right there, so a couple more extra cards. Lurking in the center there, as you can see, is actually a Golden Alex Straza, which is a very powerful card indeed. And if that catches your opponent off guard, you're in a fantastic position.
Now, of course, Day 9 calls this deck its power overwhelming deck. Of course, you have Overload associated with a lot of Shaman. That's absolutely right. What Overload does, though, as a mechanic, when you play a card with Overload, the number that's next to Overload actually determines how many mana pieces you will have missing from your total mana pool in the next round.
It's actually the reason why I'm terrible at Shaman, because I always completely underestimate what Overload will actually do to your tempo. So right now, what we're going to see a Mono open out here, potentially there's a lot of spell power available in that hand. The question is, what is he going to toss out? We're going to see a couple of crossbows. Alright, get rid of the Unbound Element first, not a bad idea. That won't kill it, he's going to have to ping it, but he will get a little bit of a buff there on his Mono Worm, which gains 1 attack every time a spell comes out. And that will end this turn. That's still Day 9 a decent spot. Having 2 taunts and a healing totem that can also attack, that's pretty down to the line.
Yeah, he can take out, he has a couple of options. He can take out the Mana Worm right now with those 2 totems, heal them back up to 2 health apiece, which is certainly viable for him, and it looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. Throws another Unbound Elemental out there, and of course, because he has so many Overload cards in this deck, that Unbound Elemental, every time one of those is played out, he goes up in power.
He does. Unfortunately, this is constructed play, which means that there are only 2 Unbound Elementals in that deck. That's the second one. He already eliminated the first, so we'll see if he's able to pull off any kind of a lot. And we're really going to see yet more card draw right here from Reckful. He's actually not taking any damage yet, so he's fine to do that, but that is going to push his hand up pretty damn high there. Connor Cole comes out and an Ice Block. I mean, it's even fairly rare to actually see an Ice Block thrown out. It's a fairly interesting card because it doesn't do anything until you're about to die, which means, well, that just kind of means that you're going to last another turn until you then die.
Right, and of course Mr. Reckful here is clearly going to very late game. He's loading up his hand, he's actually max deck size just a second ago, max hand size I should say. He's going to keep throwing out those AoE spells just to continue to sustain himself until later. This is a pretty big Day 9's existence right now though. A lot of this deck does rely on cards out there, especially a little bit more presence. But Reckful this entire time is
Elemental coming out, which is probably not a good idea because of course we see in the hand of Reckful, he has Control Overwhelming. Polymorph is available there. We might see him decide to do that, but Blizzard with the Ice Lance combo may be a better bet. Blizzard is going to wipe out a lot of monsters on there already, getting rid of 3 creatures, and of course freeze down his other. It depends whether or not he wants to try and control or just completely eliminate that Earth Elemental that's on the field. If he polys that, that's a lot of power that's out of the field, and it means the Day 9's overloaded next turn in a pretty heavy way.
Yeah, that's exactly the point I was about to make. He's so overloaded right now, he's only going to have 4 mana available.
There it is, there's the sheet, down goes the Earth Elemental, and we also saw a secret go out there, which is an Ice Barrier. You get a very interesting choice here by Reckful with a lot of his secrets, more popular secrets, things like Vaporize, things like, say, mirror entity. Ice Barrier not so much, but that does effectively give him now 37 health, but he's now being very, very slowly murdered by a sheep. And we're actually going to see a big hit here because the Flametone totem has just come out right here for Day 9, and he's going to be hitting for 11 here. And that's a big hit. That's the Ice Barrier pretty much eliminated already. So we're going to have to see Reckful pull something a little bit more special than that out of his hand. Board domination clearly in favor of Day 9 right now.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. But there's still a lot of AoE gear control for Reckful. Going through his deck list, we actually were presented with a deck list. There are no flame strikes in this deck. So there are none of that 7 mana deal 4 damage out. It's going to be really nice right now. He's going to use a Blizzard instead. This is a couple of minions, yes, but still leaves a little bit of a board intact. Ice Block looks like it's going to come out next.
Interesting choice for the Ice Block right there, but the thing is the Ice Block combos with the Alexstrasza. It's a very rare combination to see, but that would allow him to go down to 1 health. It would then allow the Ice Block to kick in, which keeps him alive. Then he plays Alexstrasza for a 14 health boost and a nasty 8/8 Dragon on the field as well. So that will work pretty well for him. And right now, that stuff's frozen. The Earth Metal, of course, out of play right now. There is a second one as well where there's still a lot of firepower in the Day 9 right now. He is sitting on a fire element. He's sitting on a good amount of... The funny thing is, he's got a lot of removal, but he's got nothing to remove because Reckful actually has nothing in the field right now.
Yeah, Reckful's playing this incredibly patiently right now, and all the creatures that he has available are all utility. We talked about Alexstrasza before, of course. Cool Light Oracle is going to give him a couple of cards for both players. He's got another Acolyte of Pain if he wants to continue that card draw. Even a Mana Worm to put out there. That's the one that's most obvious target for removal, though. But he doesn't have a lot of necessarily board presence, and frankly, he doesn't care. We already saw with that Ice Block plus Alexstrasza combo, as we mentioned before. It's already in play. We're already at the mana point now, and he can do it as much as he wants.
It's coming out. It's going to hit him right now. That is Day 9 down to 15 immediately. A 14 damage hit there from Alexstrasza. That's a nasty one indeed. Interesting choice to use it right now, but Alexstrasza is very situational. If you're both down to around 15 health, Alexstrasza is basically useless. If you or your opponent are either very high in health or very low in health, Alexstrasza can kind of reset the board. It sets you back to 15 health, which is a really powerful card indeed. But it's not like Day 9 doesn't have the ability to go through it. He does. And he still has a lot of damage on the field, and he's just going to keep bantering Reckful at this point with what he's got. And there's that 6 damage fire on the metal that's going through here. Reckful's very close to death. We, of course, know that the Ice Block's out, so that's going to keep him alive until longer. But unless he has the ability to get back in his game very quickly, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. If Reckful's sitting on a Pyroblast right now, then he could turn this game around very easily. But he currently doesn't have it. Out comes the Lightning Bolt, down to 5 health right now. And the Ice Block is most likely getting triggered this turn.
Alright, so don't forget though that we do have, he's going to try and finish this right now. Unfortunately, Ice Block is going to prevent this. Now this is actually a little bit of a problem for Day 9 as a matter of fact, because had that Ice Block, had his last spell actually not been played, Elemental would have been sitting actually at a 4/4, and it could have gotten him down to just 1 hit point. This does have a little bit of possibility for Reckful to come back, but he's going to make something drastic right now.
Comes out here, plus 1 spell card, then we've got Fireball coming out, and the Frostball to follow that one up. Nuke down coming in.
Oh, one turn kill! Oh!
Now, of course, according to Reckful has to stay with this deck. Day 9 is going to go back through, and he's going to choose one of his 2 remaining decks. Once the player's 3 decks are eliminated, they are out of the tournament. And to let you guys know again, this is of course the round of 8 of the Invitational. We're going to do the entire round of 8 here. We'll have the semifinals and the finals tomorrow at 10 a.m. on the World of Warcraft Team Hearthstone stage.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one, certainly. And we have Trump making his entrance here to the arena. Sneaky individuals flying on his opponents there. Which is totally fine, we're okay with that. And we are going to see a Paladin deck coming out here from Day 9. He calls his deck Divine Fields, and I hate it for it. But that's quite the opening hand there for Reckful. It's like, how much more cards do you really want there? Let's see what he gets. Double up in it like and a Blizzard. That's, well, he's not going to be doing anything for a couple of turns. Let's just put it that way.
How much card draw do you want? The correct answer is all of it.
Let's see what card draw. There you go. That's a fantastic amount of card draw there. But last game we saw Reckful basically play their strategy, which is I want to survive until they combo the hell out of you. Alexstrasza was designed to knock that health down to half, which means you can then follow up. You don't even fire the finish it. There's the pick taken off the Divine Shield from the Artist Squire, which is the opening play there. Let's see what he's got. Straight into a Fairy Dragon.
Right.
Great. That's a really, really nice card to play against Mage. Absolutely fantastic.
That's right, because a Fairy Dragon actually can't get targeted directly by spells or hero powers. That means that pinging ability that 2 mana 1 damage the Mage has as its hero power can't actually affect it. So you have to find an indirect way, either through AoE spells or whatever else you will have, to be able to take it out. And we see the Cold Oracle actually played right away. 2 cards for both players right now.
So much draw. He pulled yet another Cold Light Oracle. He basically has 8 cards worth of draw in his hand, which is quite silly indeed. And now he's going to block off his Ardent Squire, which is then going to kill that immediately. There's the trade. There's the 3 damage in here. And a good solid start here for Day 9. Also notice in his hand he's sitting on 3 more Divine Shield creatures, a Silence, and a True Silk Champion, which is considered pretty much one of the best weapons you can use as a Paladin.
Oh, it's incredible. It's a fantastic card. Of course, it is a 4/4 that restores 2 health to your hero every time you use it. Now, we see Day9 has a really good board presence, and Reckful's just drawing, but this is almost looking like a repeat of last game.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's using the same deck, and the strategy's fairly obvious. Basically, he uses a lot of draw to get the hands of the cards that he needs. Survive until our Strata, knocks his opponent down to 15 health, and then combos the crap out of him using spell power like Single Dimension Almas, which seems to work pretty well. But it is, as you said, already a very strong start here for Day9. Stronger than last time, because he already has a lot of power on the field to do damage. So maybe the Reckful can't actually survive long enough. We're going to see yet another Squire come out here, and we may, but potentially next turn, actually see a Kings go down on there. There's another Divine Shielded creature. And just look at the amount of firepower he's got on the field. Can Reckful actually clear it right now? He could Blizzard next turn, but that's still only going to, it's only going to kill 1 creature, right?
He's actually contemplating playing the coin there to go ahead and get out that Blessing of Kings as well, which is kind of interesting. Now, for those of you who may be new to Hearthstone, of course, when you go second in Hearthstone, you are granted not just an extra card in the beginning, but also a special spell for 0 mana called the Coin, which gives you a one-time use, 1 mana boost.
Yeah, it's used basically to balance something back to use Overfill first, so you kind of always a mana behind. There's the Blizzard going down. It pretty much had to happen. The nice thing about Day9's deck is with those Divine Shields, it's able to keep 2 extra creatures alive. So that's going to keep the power back for a little while, but ultimately, there's only so much control you can really do before you actually have to start killing things. Yet another Divine Shield creature comes out, that 3/1, another extra Divine Shield the thing that's previously had the Divine Shield, which, yeah, that's a little
Divine
nasty.
Fields.
Divine Fields indeed. I'm already feeling quite nauseous from watching this, I've got to say. Thankfully I haven't run into this one on ladder as of yet. So let's see what Reckful's got. He's got a whole handful of absolutely everything, but he is lacking area of effect removal in a pretty big way. He's got a Cone of Cold, and that really is about it. He's got, however, a lot of spell power in his hand. So that Cone of Cold can hit a lot harder, but with Divine Shields being in effect, that's essentially pointless. So he's probably going to try and remove 2 Divine Shields. We'll see. He's going to play his Mana Worm first.
Yes.
Then maybe he may then play the spell power after that, but no, he's going to just go for it. Pick off the Divine Shield, take out the 3/1 with his hero power. That's absolutely sensible, great move there for Reckful, but he's still a little bit behind, and he's got to deal with the fact that his opponent is sitting on a lot of power, and war's on the way. Blessing of Might comes out there, and he's sitting on his Kings, and he also has a True Silver Champion, which he may decide to use to remove the work.
Right, and don't forget, as a result of the Cold Oracle that actually started at the beginning of this game, that Mana Worm is going to die. Now, of course, Day9 gets 2 health back here, but since he's at max, he won't actually receive any additional. He goes back down to 28 after taking out the Mana Worm. Now, don't forget, I can't understate the value of the Cold Oracle that actually started at the beginning of this game for Reckful. He's getting his combo pieces in place, but this did allow Day9 to have enough cards on the board that he can continue this pressure more effectively than last game.
Interesting choice there to actually put a Blessing of Wisdom on a 1/1 creature that's very easily killed off with a 2 power. That seems like it's a little bit of a bait there, saying, hey, yeah, I really wanted to take out my 1/1 because I prefer that you didn't take out, say, my 2/1 right there, or any of my 3/1s. It's a deliberate bait. It's saying, all right, if you take out one of my more powerful creatures, I'm going to get a card advantage on you. So it's a really smart move there by Day9. So let's see what we're going to see from Reckful. He's already used 3 of his mana already, so what's he left with? He could toss his Ice Block out now if he wants. I mean, that's fine, but he really needs something to get back on this board. He's used a lot of his area of effect stuff already. He's not sitting on a Blizzard in his hand, even if he was, he didn't have the mana for it.
All right, well, he's taking quite a bit of time here. Still got 4 mana available.
It's a tough goal. It's a really tough goal.
He's going to take damage. He is absolutely going to take damage this turn. The question is how much does he actually want to take? Yes, you talked about before, maybe the bait to ping and just try and take out that 1/1 minion that's sitting that's continuing to draw cards.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like
probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, look what is sitting on them. That's the danger of these kind of mage decks. They're designed to just do a massive amount of damage when your opponent doesn't expect it. However, without... Basically, he's going to have to survive till Alexstrasza, hits the Alexstrasza, and then you go Fireball, Pyro Blast for the next couple of turns to see what you can do. But that's assuming he manages to survive that long. The Ice Block came out for free because the Pure Tall Mage actually gave him that, so that's nice. But Day9's in a really good spot. I want to see when he plays that Kings. He trades the 3-1 out for the 4-3, and there's the Redemption, brings that 3-1 right back to life in the same state it was with the Divine Shield, which is fantastic. Yet more card draw for Day9 there, and with that Kings in his hand, Reckful could be in a bit of trouble, but the Ice Block will keep him safe. So we'll see whether or not if Sean actually decides to overcommit. And he already knows that Ice Block is there, like he's played against it last time around.
And just a note for new Hearthstone players as well, when Redemption hits, yes, you're taking back any core attributes that were on the card at first, but no battle cry effects actually happen. So just if you're trying to set up any clever strategies with Redemption, just keep that in mind.
Indeed, it does bring back your Divine Shield, though. Anything that's written on the card, there's no battle cry, that will work, so that's fine. Alright, well, that's a lot of stuff on the board. It's pretty much filled with this on the board. He can't put any more minions on it. They're all fairly weak in and of themselves, but that's a 13 health mage. Will he survive long enough? Alexstrasza is next turn. He would pretty much die next turn otherwise. Yet more card draw with Cold-Light Oracle coming out here. He has access. Well, the thing is, this deck relies on having access to everything, right? He's looking perhaps for areas of effect. He's not getting it. That control is failing him this time around, and that means that side of the board is just an absolute nightmare for him.
Yeah, and he did buy himself one extra turn with that Ice Block. Don't forget, Ice Block states that whenever your hero takes damage that would be lethal, you become immune for that turn and you do stay alive. So he bought himself an extra turn. Yes, we're going to see Alexstrasza, but will he have the board presence and card draw to make sure that he can freeze out the board?
Which right now he doesn't, honestly. He's sitting on that Alexstrasza, and that's fantastic, because we know he's not going to die next turn because of Ice Block. But if that Alexstrasza, but he can't clear outside the board, he's probably just going to get murdered anyway, because we know that Kings is sitting in Day9's hand, and he has still one more swing into his Silver Champion as well. So he can still murder him from that position. Let's be honest, Reckful is in a really hard spot at this one.
Alright, well, we'll see what he can do. It looks like the answer is going to be card draw. Although, unfortunately, because he played the Mana Worm before, he can't actually proc the Acolyte of Pain on this turn. Sometimes you will see mages, they'll take 5 mana, they'll put out an Acolyte of Pain, just to get some extra card draw. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Now, as we stated before, Ice Block is up. Yes, Day9 has lethal damage on the board. Yes, he's going to swing in and do as much as he can. But he's got to be conscious of Ice Block now, and we'll see how he plays.
I think he knows. I really do think he knows because he hasn't thrown out the Kings yet. Which makes me think what he's going to do is he's going to batter his opponent down to lethal damage, and then he's going to Kings next turn and finish him off. And frankly, Reckful's going to be hard-pressed to deal with that, even if he goes back to 15 health. Even then, he's probably not lasting long enough. He won't be able to really throw down some heavy stuff. I mean, this guy has got 3 cards on him. That's a 1-1 Argent Squire. That should have never happened, but it was a really cunning play there by Sean to actually manage to essentially give the opponent multiple threats to deal with when he didn't have a Blizzard available.
And that's the thing, this is the real big difference from the last game as well. With the Shaman deck that Day9 had out, he always had board presence, he always had control. But the problem was he didn't really have the card draw to be able to back up the amount of damage he was trying to put out there. This time he has. He's been the recipient of 2 Cold-Light Oracles from his opponent. And the entire time Blessing of Kings has happened. And as we can see, Day9's going to move in for the kill. Hopefully he gets his opponent down to just 1 health here and realizes that that Ice Block is on.
Yeah, he's going to find out the Ice Block, so that's actually fine though for him because he still knows he's in a dominant position. Again, even if Alexstrasza actually comes out next turn, unless he can somehow deal with all that stuff that's on the board, he's going to swing and he's going to take out the Acolyte of Pain.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised at that though, because the True Silver Champion could have gotten... Oh, he still has 1 hit on it.
No, it's gone.
Okay. That's a little confusing to me because...
It's okay though. Here's the reason why it's okay. He's not only sitting on a Divine Shield, he's sitting on a King's and he's sitting on an Argent Commander. So he has charge, he's got basically anything that can mess with the mathematics of your opponent. It's really great in that respect. Like, Reckful, frankly, has nothing that he can actually do at this point. He really can't. He just bought the Cold Cult, he may be able to survive another turn. But if he can make the grand turnaround... Oh! That's it over. There we go. The game suddenly changes. So now he's going to be able to... Here's the thing, right? This is going to delay the Alexstrasza by 1 turn. He can't... If he plays the Alexstrasza this turn, because his turns on 15 health, he's dead anyway. Even though he's got the 1 at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 35, 70 damage, that's going to kill him anyway. He's got a Frost Nova. That delays the Alexstrasza. The question is, what can he do while his Frost Nova is active?
should be totally honest, I'm looking through his cards right now. I don't know if he can do anything. Unless he gets King,
He's got a couple ice lances. He's got multiple ice lances. I wonder what he can actually make happen with that. But he's decided he's not going to use the ice lances this turn. You know he's got 2 spell power on the field right now. So those ice lances, they usually hit for 4 against a frozen target. Now I'm going to hit for 6. Pyroblast's going to hit for 12. Gunco's going to hit for 3. Oh my, oh me, oh my. Okay. Well.
That was a mistake. He has no ability to play minions on the board.
All his cards are frozen in place. He can't play anything at this stage. That's a real nightmare. He has to end turn on second pyro for Reckful coming out here. Can he actually make this happen?
All right, well, Alexstrasza is available to Pyroblast, as you mentioned before. Ice Lance is out there, draws another card with that Acolyte of Pain.
Right.
As a polymorph, but that's not going to cut it.
Secret back, it comes out of nowhere. And to be fair, that just burned the redemption until you really didn't want to burn on, so that's totally fine. Pings if you get another card. Okay, so he cannot play Alexstrasza now, but he can play Pyro. But can he remove everything that's on this board right now? He does have an ice barrier, but that's not going to be enough to keep him alive.
No, but it will certainly help to mitigate the damage if he can play his minions in the right way. Let's see what he actually has available. 8 mana left. I'm just going to take a look over here at Sean's side of the board. Of course, he does still have 7 minions out, which means he can't actually play anymore right now. So the Argent Commander is a bit of dead weight, unless Reckful, of course, comes in and kills one of those volunteers.
So here's what's going to happen. If even, regardless of what trades he actually tries to do, what's going to happen next turn is Day 9 breaks out an Argent Commander, kings that thing, and absolutely murders it. So we're going to see some freezing coming out, but he's not going to be able to freeze everything. The only thing Reckful can actually try and do is control it to make sure that something more powerful like the Argent Commander can't come out. But even if that's the case, he's still sitting on 3 health. The best thing he can hope to get from this position is the Ice Barrier back to 11, and even that's probably not enough.
But don't forget, had that True Silver Champion still been up and Day 9 had actually reallocated his power the right way before, he would have actually ended the game last turn. It would have been no problem.
Blizzard comes out. That's actually really nice. Divine Shields are down. That's an entire thing.
I can't believe this!
He pulls the Blizzard. That is enough to clear the board entirely and start to put this game back in his favor.
Day 9 had this game 1, had that True Silver Champion been able to hit last time, he would have been able to get the necessary 3 damage through. Would have actually been 4, more than enough. Here comes the Blizzard. He waves it around. Reckful is confident. The board is clear.
However, he is about to die horribly. As we are well aware, he's got an Argent Commander. Here comes the charge. There's the buff. He doesn't need to do that. He does it anyway. Down goes the mage. That's 1-1.
This is the Invitational Invitational here at BlizzCon 2013. All of our 8 players have 3 decks that they are bringing to the competition. And the competition is actually formatted like this. Both players choose a deck. If their deck wins against the opponent, that deck stays on. The losing deck, they have to replace theirs with another one of their decks from their arsenal. And the player that gets eliminated is the player that loses all 3 of their decks first.
Indeed. Alright, so we see that the Shaman deck is gone, the Paladin deck is still up, and there's still the Druid deck, which is waiting in reserve there. Now we have seen that the Mage deck is now out of the way. So I'm interested to see, will he break the Priest out in this position? He might.
Uther versus Uther. I will fight with honor. Justice demands retribution.
A little unusual compared to the other Pally decks. In Mirrors, it's probably in a position where it could win out. We'll see. So initial draw, not ideal, but not terrible here for someone that's going second. There you go. There's your turn 1 Night Juggler if you want it. Or potentially a turn 2 Harvest Golem. First turn, of course, is going to go to Day 9. He cannot do a damn thing. So here we go. All the way over, and let's see if we see a coin out early. We probably should, but he may want to hold that. No, there's the Night Juggler. All right.
And part of the reason he just played the Night Juggler right there is because of what he just drew. The Argent Protector that you see right there, that actually grants him the minion Divine Shield as its battle cry. So we can turn to a Night Juggler, turn 2 for the Argent Protector up there, deal damage with the Night Juggler, and then give it a Divine Shield.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the Knife Juggler is going to throw a knife at a random target every time a creature comes on the field. So pop goes the weasel, down goes the Initiator very easily. Now he's able to do damage, and it keeps that nice and safe.
Alright, well, we have pretty similar cards between these 2 players right now. I'm seeing Sunshattered Clerics and True Silver Champions for both.
Scarlet Crusader coming out. Alright, nice card. I like that a lot.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that one whatsoever. So I wonder, we've got, I mean, if we go for the buff, but he's once across the Harvest Golem here. This is a very popular card. It doesn't look that good when you first play it. but you've got to realize what it actually does. When it dies, it makes another one. Oh, nice with the pop there. Alright, okay, so the knife comes out, that pops that, he pops his Divine Shield to wipe that out, and that puts Reckful already in a pretty good spot.
Oh, yes, indeed.
With
the
sword.
Silver Champion is going to come
going down.
Yeah, that will return 2 health at day 9, but of course he'll take a net loss of 1 because he's going after the Knife Juggler. The threat of the Knife Juggler is down, but unfortunately for day 9, Reckful has pretty good board control at the moment, and we'll see what he loads it up with.
Yeah, and he could go, say, for Shattered Sun at this point, and I wouldn't necessarily play into a Silver Champion because there's nothing on the board for the enemy, and you generally want to use that to remove minions, not hit your opponent in the face, because that's a bit of a waste of a weapon. Weapons do have durability, they are destroyed after a short time. Just going to go for straight damage here, play out another creature that's a little bit more difficult to deal with.
And you don't usually want to put out a true Silver Champion as building on what you were saying anyway onto an empty board even if you're not going to attack.
Oh, this is nice.
Swamp bruises are actually everywhere in this tournament right now.
Possible nice play right here. He's got Knife Juggler and then he's got some free costers. So he could go with his Shattered Sun Cleric, buff that up to a 4/3. Alternatively, he plays Panther, or he could summon a minion and perhaps pull that Divine Shield. Panther's coming out. Alright, so Knife's coming out. Will it hit the right target? It will not. It actually goes straight into the Harvest Golem. Not going to help him that much. It still leaves Reckful in a good position.
Alright, so he has decisions available to him. If he takes out the Argent Protector, of course, it's probably a better decision than going after the Golems. The Golems just spawn another 2/1. It would be hard-pressed to take out just the Divine Shield because he has no board presence right now or no active minions he can actually attack. So the problem is, his opponent can just clear board very easily and retain pretty decent board presence with that Golem.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. He's going to use it to remove the 2/2 there. Which is one of the best things he can do because he couldn't really remove anything else. Even taking out the Golem would have replaced it with a slightly less dangerous Golem. Divine Favor comes out, not a good play right now. Doesn't want to be doing anything like that. He is left with another Rat, so if he wants to block that Knife Juggler, he can do that very easily. He could throw in his sword, which will let him do that as well. He is actually perhaps going to go for the buff play here, decides against it. A buff play, say, either on, I would generally put it on the thing which has Divine Shield, so you're looking at 4/2 there. But, yeah, he doesn't quite know what to do yet. You've got to bear in mind, that Panther's in stealth. So, it's a 4/2, it's in stealth, you can't touch it with anything.
Including that Spellbreaker, of course, which he was contemplating using on the Knife Juggler. The problem is that your trade right here is just to run the Golem into it, pop another 2/1, you have that available on board, and you can reserve the Spellbreaker for later on when a truly powerful minion that you need silence comes out.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So he's going to pop that, out comes that, and buffs up the Divine Shield of creature. That's what I mentioned earlier, is probably a good idea. But he decides against that, plays it again, never mind, he's going to go for it. Alright. The indecisive paladin right here from Reckful. There's the 4/2 with the Divine Shield. That's really, really nice. And he is sitting on 4 creatures on the board. Alright, well let's see what day 9 can actually break out at this point. He's just pulled his next card, which is Argent Commander, which is, I mean, it's reasonably helpful in this position. But, yeah, I mean, he gets a 2-for-1 with it, but the problem is he may not even get a 2-for-1 because there's that 4/2 Divine Shield sitting on the board. So if you throw that and maybe kill the Shattered Sun Cleric with it, that pops the Divine Shield on the Argent Commander, but then the Scarlet Crusader murders him, and it's still not a great play there for sure, but we'll see what he can come up with. He's still got that 4/2 Panther. Will he sacrifice it, and what will he take out with it if he decides to do that? What else has he got? This is the interesting thing, right? He's got a lot of buff in his hand. He's got 2 Blessings of Might, that's his entire deck's worth in his hand. He can hit like a truck if he wants to, but ultimately that's not going to help him if he can't kill off his opponent.
Absolutely not. He won't have the ability to sustain enough damage through that. He's already done 16 health as it is. So he's got to find options to try and start clearing the board. Now the best opportunity he has available to truly clear board would have been to use the Argent Commander, smack it with the 3/3 Shattered Sun Cleric, use the Jungle Panther, and take out the 1/1. But then all of his creatures would have been vulnerable, and we would have been back at status quo with Reckful with 4 cards, and unfortunately, actually going out there, and we do have a 5/2 now sitting on the board.
Interesting move because that 2/1 trades out for 5/2 very easily, and then you can kill off that Panther with pretty much anything. So it is definitely an interesting move there by Sean, but considering he did that buff, if you look at what he did last time, he used the buff very much to kind of diversify the threats that he had on the board. So that meant that his opponent was having to make some odd and very difficult decisions between what he actually wanted to eliminate.
Hammer of Wrath is not actually terrible here, and I kind of like it, to be honest.
Hammer at pops a 5-2. That's pretty nice.
Pops a 5-2, or that 3-3 Shatterton Cleric can run the Golem into the 5-2 as well. You can completely clear board and maintain card advantage. I don't see Divine's favor on Day 9's side. Oh, it's going to be Spellbreaker. Very interesting.
Yeah, that works. I mean, it takes it back down to a 1-1, leaves it on the board, doesn't have to worry so much about that direct removal. Goes straight in. Look at what is in Reckful's hand. This is a little bit of a meta breaker here. You don't see a lot of healing come out in decks these days.
That's right.
But Reckful says, no, lay on hands is good. Not only does that heal you heavily, it also gives you a 3-card draw. It's a very, very powerful card. But here's the problem. Reckful's taking no damage, so the heal is effectively useless. Out comes the Argent Commander, and he is going to buff that heavily, and they decided probably wasn't the best idea. In he goes, there we go. So he gets himself a card out of that, which drives him redemption, nails down the 4-2, and now he's going to, of course, trade like for like here with those. So that still leaves Reckful in a good spot on the board.
Yeah, a great spot actually. And it looks like Reckful's not quite going to have enough to be able to just push through right now.
Nice and easy.
Right. If he had been an 8-mana, he could have thrown True Silver Champion and the Blessing of Lights and actually just swung through for the win. But it looks like he's going to play nice and conservative. This is the right way to go. Extend your board just a little bit. Reserve that True Silver Champion. This is all very well done.
That's it. I mean, there's no question. Reckful dominated that one completely.
And that is now a 2-1 in favor of Reckful, which means that Mr. Day 9 is down to his last deck.
That was nicely played there by Reckful. Really, really nice control. He got early board control, never let go of it. He made efficient trades across the board, and his opponent really didn't have an answer. So that leaves Reckful in a really cool spot. He's still got his Priest, and now he has to go up against the Druid deck of his opponent. This could go on for a little while, because I know for a fact that that Druid deck also has healing in it. So it's kind of like Resto Druid versus Holy Paladin in really early World of Warcraft, as in it never ends.
Yeah, and this deck is titled Glacier Paw as well, and we'll see what he can do with this. It is a
nice. That's an interesting opening hand. So we have removal, and a little bit more removal there. Let's see how that one goes for him. I mean, he can start off with the claw, but he starts on turn 1, so he's not going to want to use that, because you want to use the claw to remove a minion, not attack your opponent. Because dealing 2 damage to your opponent is a waste of a card. You don't want to do that. So let's see what he pulls on his draw here. Ah, that's his healing. Alright, so this is actually a really bad start for Day 9, I'm going to say.
Okay, well, taking a look back at Reckful's side of things, we do have a turn 1 Young Priestess, which is possible. Usually, though,
it's not worth it.
Exactly. You want to be able to put that out when you have 3 mana entirely, so that way you can get a buff from it right away if you have a 2-mana creature that can follow it up, or you can hide it behind some sort of taunt.
The other reason you don't do it against the Druid is it's a 2-1. So there are 3 classes that can remove any card which has 1 health using the hero power. Mage, Druid, Rogue. So you won't play one of those 2-1 buffing minions against the Druid that early. And you'll just hang on to it. He's thinking about the coin here, but he doesn't really have a great coin play. He could coin Sword of Justice. So that's what he's going to do. Then, this is the cool thing, then he can actually play his Young Priestess, because that will buff it up to the point where it's actually a 3-2 instead of a 2-1.
And
all the removal right here for Day 9. Unfortunately, there's nothing for him to remove. So this has actually been a really bad start pacing-wise for Sean, because he's got nothing he can really do with that. Reckful's in a great spot. He can, of course, 4-2 Scarlet Crusader right now. There's the buff, 4-2. Very, very nice indeed. Yes. This is a great start. Now, I know for a fact that, you know, something like Sword of Justice slows your deck down, right? Because you've got to start to really get snowballing with it. Yeah? If you play it, you have less creatures on the field. But in this position, it's fantastic because your opponent doesn't actually have anything he can do whatsoever. Sean, for the last few turns, has been flailing away with his hero power, and he's had no answers.
Oh, man. And now we have a 5-3 on the board. Of course, that Shatterton Cleric is going to turn into a 4-4 with that Sword of Justice already there.
Priestess, City, population Reckful right here. That is horrible. Good lord.
This is not looking pretty for Sean. He has
He
a
can
lot of
play a
removal.
card. He can play a card, finally. That's a possibility. He's got Swipe, but that's not going to help him that much. Those are too heavily buffed. He could Starfire. That would help, but what do you Starfire? They're all really nasty.
Exactly, and that's the problem of getting a Sword of Justice out that quickly. Of course, for those of you who don't know, it is a 1/5 weapon for 3, but it has a special ability on it, which states that every time you throw out a minion, it gives the minion +1/+1 actually removes 1 ability.
I'm a little surprised he decided he didn't use the claw actually there. He could have gone Innovate, Strain the claw, and then actually taken that creature down. So I'm not entirely certain what his thought process was there. But at the the moment, Reckful is still in a commanding position. There's yet more buffs going on. That young priestess is the longest living young priestess of all time. It's now a wizened old priestess.
And now she's going to come in for 4 damage here in just a second.
I don't know, she's been eating her Wheaties, man, I've got to say. She's hitting like an absolute truck right now. And Sean's in a lot of trouble. He does have a heal, but he does have yet more removal.
That's right, but there is lethal on the board, supposing the board has not changed substantially.
Yeah.
But Day9 is going to try his best here. He's got 6 cards out, he's got a little bit of spell power as well, but of course he wants to be able to use that Starfall.
Here comes the AoE, so he's going to take out at least 2 creatures right here. Finally, that pesky priestess is gone, leaving 2 shadows of flares. Out comes the claw, down goes 1, and he's taken a lot of punishment to get to this point, but consider, he's sitting on a healing touch, and he's sitting on cards that will give him armor. So he's actually not as dead as he looks.
No, but there's a lot of damage that's coming through here from Reckful in a second, depending on how he wants to play this. 4 at a minimum. Don't forget, he's been reserving that True Silver Champion basically this entire game.
Yeah,
of course, you don't want to play that until you start getting some minions out there for your opponent. But that is going to be 4 down, supposing that Day9 can't put up anything with Ton. And hey, we're looking at his deck right now. Looking at his hand, I should say. There's nothing out there to stop it.
All right, looks like he's kind of deciding what he wants to do here, because honestly, at this point, he would look to maybe get the Defender of Argus out, but he doesn't have the health for it. He doesn't have the mana for it. He knows that. So he's now sitting on a great amount of board. But all right, so here comes the swipe most likely. Swipe's going to be a 2 minion kill. No problem whatsoever. He could then decide to go into his healing touch. That might not be a bad idea on that 7 mana there. He may also be I don't think he can really use removal here. He's actually going to go for the full-on Taunt here with the Ancient War. Big creature, scariest creature we've seen so far actually. That's a 5/10 with Taunt. That's keeping that, I mean, obviously that kills everything that's on there, except for the fact that Equality is sitting in Reckful's hand. That's now a, it dies to a tiny little minion. That's hard.
And here comes, he's actually going to do that. You're going to use True Silver Champion. That is a win, a 3-1 for Reckful over Sean.
That was a really strong performance there by Reckful. Absolutely fantastic. I'm going to jump on the stage to annoy them for a little while. That sounds like a pretty good idea there. We'll have a few words with Reckful over here. Mr. Reckful, let's have you in front of the stage right here. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause here for Mr. Reckful. 3-1 victory there over Day9. Pretty damn strong performance, I've got to say. Now, in the first game, you were struggling just a little bit. How did that actually all go down?
Well, I didn't draw any Frost Novas early, so I was taking a lot of damage, and then I decided at the time that I had to use the Alex to get him 15 health and just hope I draw. Hope he doesn't proc my Ice Block, or hope I draw any of the cards that does any damage to kill him. I drew a Spell Power, so I was able to kill him there. But had it gone a little differently, I would have played it where I just Nova, play safe, but I had to go for the risky play.
We don't often see Ice Block actually used in those decks unless you complement it with something like Imperial Arcanist. And you decided to, not only did you actually have it, but you were able to pull it twice. It did keep you alive. What went into your decision to actually put that into your deck?
Well, when I went to play a burn deck, I wanted to have a turn where I could have no fear and just shoot them directly, not clear any units at all. And they proc my Ice Block, and then if I have the damage in my hand to kill them the turn after, then they're done. I can already know the game's over sometimes when they're 30 HP if I have certain cards in my hand. And now I'm at 5 HP, 2 HP, it doesn't matter. So it's a nice surprise factor, and I wanted to bring it into the tournament. It didn't work out for me the second round.
Unfortunately it didn't, but you managed to make your way through regardless. Cold Light Oracle, not in a Murloc deck. Something that, let's just say, is fairly low on a lot of tier lists, but evidently you made it work very well. You're obviously okay with giving your opponent a ton of cards. Why is that?
Well, as you saw, he couldn't even drop a unit at one point because I have 7 units on the board and I'm just chain Novaing them, so the cards help me more. I just need, if I draw my whole deck, I'll win because I have enough damage in my hand to kill them with my burn, and I have enough CC to stop their units, so I just need to make sure I draw my block, I need to make sure I draw enough Frostbolts, Ice Sciences, Fireballs, Pyroblast, maybe my Alexstrasza, enough damage to kill them.
Yeah, and you drew through your deck incredibly fast as well. And we still haven't got to see your priest deck played yet. So these guys have no idea what's coming. Do you want to give a little bit of a teaser of what they can expect from that?
Well, that's my best one, and I didn't want to bring it out. It has a little bit of everything. That's the teaser.
Awesome. I have a feeling that like every other priest deck in the world, it might have just a couple of MCs in there, but there's a possibility, but we'll see, Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that deck in action. Really good performance there, Reckful. So, how do you feel about the rest of this tournament? Do you think this is going to be a most difficult match, or is it still all to play for?
I'm definitely worried about my next match, Crep and Hafu. I'm excited to watch them play. I've been looking forward to it all day. I'm happy I can relax now too. And the rest of the tournament, I'm stuttering a bit, but I'm nervous. I'll say I'm nervous, and I respect a lot of the players here. And I may look arrogant sometimes, but I'm scared a little bit.
Fantastic. One last question. So before your match, we actually had Sean complaining that he streamed all of his decks, and a lot of people seem to know what was actually in them. Did you even get a chance before the show to see what was in his deck, or did you go in blind?
I went in blind, but someone told me that about an hour ago, and they said this Shaman deck had Earth Allies, which made me... It made me sort of want to play Priest to just like death them, but I kind of wanted to save the Priest deck to be a secret a little bit, because I have a couple interesting things in there. I thought the Mage would beat it, and it did. So the Pally was rough. Yeah, nothing else to say, I guess.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause to Reckful! Alright, thanks for hanging around, guys. We've got plenty more Hearthstone action coming for you. We're going to be setting up the next match momentarily.